We want to do an unboxing here, what you would expect when your packages arrive from UPS or USPS. And in this particular case, we have here in front of us a TKX package. So this will be a typical 5-speed. You would expect to get 4 packages on average. So we have a bell housing box, a clutch box, we have an accessory box, and behind me would be the TKX. This is a typical Tremec box as it comes from the factory. We've taken extra measures to secure and foam it and make sure that it's actually going to arrive safely to you. So let's tear into this box that I have here in front of me. And our folks in shipping have done a fantastic job of making sure that your packages have been securely foamed and wrapped. So the first thing I have in front of me here is the shift lever, and we made sure that it's not facing down but facing up, so we make sure that it is going to arrive scratch-free. We have a block plate. This happens to be a GM model, but the Ford one would be slightly different. Digging further into the hardware, make sure that you don't have anything caught in the packaging. We have the miscellaneous parts, a lot of the supporting pieces. As you can see, our folks in shipping did a tidy job of putting in that. We'll tear into that here in just a bit. We also have the transmission mount here. Again, taking some of the extra material out. In this particular order, we have a GM aluminum bell housing. So we have that in the box here. And we're just going to check to make sure that there's no other material in the box, and in this case there is not. So let me just set this aside. And let's take a look at what's inside the bag of goodies here. So the first thing we have is some ARP fasteners. Your order may or may not have that, depending what you've ordered, but it does come with some moly lube included with the bolts. Backup light harness in this case. We have a pad and a trim ring set, carefully packaged. The extension line for the hydraulics to go from the master cylinder down to the Tilton 6000 series bearing. We also have a spacer block for the transmission mount to the cross member. This particular package happens to be a Chevelle, so you'll notice that there's not a cross member in this package, but with a Camaro or other packages, it may be included with your order, so that will be most likely in a different box depending on size. We have a transmission speedometer adapter, so in the case of a TKX, we go from a Ford to a speedometer hole to the GM cable, so we provide the adapter in its own box. We then have what we call a hardware installation kit. These are all the nuts and bolts necessary to put your transmission together. This happens to be one for an LS with aluminum bell housing. So each one of these hardware kits is unique in its application. We have a speedometer clip and gear that's been bagged separately. Each one of those is calibrated based on tooth size on the rear end ratio and tire size for your vehicle. This particular order is also including a shift boot for the floor and a trim ring. So again, your order may vary depending on what you have ordered. The one last item that we have here in this supporting pack is the shift knob. And we do offer a lot of different varieties of shift knobs. This happens to be one of our MDL 5-speed classic shift knobs, so we do include one of those. Often we give one of these to you as a promotional item for free, so ask us more about that. So let me clear the table here and we'll dive into some of the other boxes, and just give me just a moment. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is grab the invoice that comes with your package and go through each one of these items as you're unboxing them, and just make a check mark. Our folks in shipping have done the same when they actually package the items, so take a moment to make sure that they're there. If you do come across an item that is on back order or is being drop shipped to you, you may not find those items have arrived at the same time that the initial parts did so. So let's get into the next box. By now you're probably pretty excited about getting your pieces. It's almost like Christmas. And I know the brown trucks are kind of our brown Santas in a way, no matter what time of the year. So the very first item coming out of the box here is that we have a hydraulic master cylinder kit. So I will set that aside and we'll dig into that box here in just a moment. Removing more of the packaging. I can tell that this one here is a item, so let's unroll that. So in this particular packaging, we do have a clutch pedal set. This one here is most likely our AMSOIL, carefully boxed to prevent it from getting punctured or shift in the box. And it certainly is. So we have you 3 quarts of AMSOIL, carefully packaged, so in case it might leak. We have also double checked the caps to make sure they're good and tight. And our fine folks at Tilton provide their own box, and so that Tilton bearing, along with its fittings that we provide. Let me pop this open here just briefly. So carefully in here, again, we have the Tilton 6000 series bearing assembly. The collar is actually already inserted for you. That way you can just, it's ready to go. You shouldn't have to look for it as a separate item. And the additional hardware. Now this is going to include the value-adding fittings that are not included from Tilton. We actually put a few extra pieces in, so this is our kit. Is a little bit more of a premium product than you will find perhaps through another distributor or outlet. By all means, when you have instructions, make sure you set those aside with the product so that you can come back to it later. So we'll just set that aside for the moment. Again, more packing materials. And the big heavy item on the bottom here is our bell housing, or excuse me, flywheel. Let me get this box out of the way. So in this particular piece here, get it cut open. Again, we've included right on top so you can't miss them, further instructions, padding, and making sure that your items don't get rusted in case there's some moisture along the way. But this particular piece is an American-made MDL flywheel, light and billet steel. So we'll put that aside. Something to note when you do receive your flywheel, it is laser marked on the back, so verify that you did receive the correct one against the sheet. That way you can assure that you have the correct flywheel right from the beginning. So let's talk about some of the items that we have here. The beauty is that we have a pedal set for you. This will be utilized with your existing pedal support, so it'd be easy to swap this out. The pads will then slip right over, good to go. You got obviously the oil that we spoke of. You're not going to need all 3 quarts, but close to it. You set the bearing assembly here. Let's look at that master cylinder kit that we talked about just a moment ago. Okay, so immediately out of the box, we have a master cylinder firewall mounting plate for this particular kit. This is going to allow you the master cylinder and booster to sit in the front, firewall in the back, and our cylinder is then going to go into that. So we have a reservoir. This particular one is an OEM type plastic model with a rubber line. Now, we do get this question sometimes often is why do we have an additional line here? We give you the choice of using either line. This one happens to come with the master cylinder, but the union is ready to go with a fitting already attached. Inside the kit is some additional hardware. Yours may vary depending on the kit. And what we do include with every kit is a master bleeder kit. This is a value-adding product. The reason for it is a lot of times folks are working by themselves, setting up their packages, and installing it. We call this our one-man bleeder kit. The beauty is you can take the reservoir cap off, use the bleeder syringe, take the line, connect it to the vent port of the slave cylinder, in this case a Tilton, and you're able to push it straight through, and you're on your way, because this is one of the frequently asked questions that we get, so we automatically include that with every kit. This particular kit also has a gasket to seal against the firewall to keep any air and water coming through, but more importantly, that ever important instruction set. So again, continue to check your items as you're going down your list to assure that you have received everything necessary. So that concludes this box. Let's continue on and look at the clutch box and the transmission box. So let me clear the table once again. So let's dive into this MDL Superior clutch. Your clutch obviously is may vary. You may have opted for a twin disc. So immediately we're greeted by a do not sign. So we want to make sure that we have everything here, that we've taken a moment to stop, read the instructions. We put them right on top so you can see them immediately. So take a moment to read through those. In this particular case, we have the disc separated from the main clutch because we don't want that damaged in any way during shipment, because these do run down the belts and tumblers. We just kind of set this aside. Let's open the disc. So inside here, we've carefully wrapped the clutch disc itself. So in this particular instance, we have an organic 11-inch clutch. And I do want to take a moment here to show just a little bit of how this was packaged. You can see this was all foamed in. So you can see it's very tight. The guys in shipping did a fantastic job of making sure that this is not going to move. So if you receive this package and it's been hit hard, no worries. It's been packaged really, really well. So we're going to take this out of here. It's literally formed fit. Again, we're going to set that aside, more to come. So we're just going to take a moment here to find a strategic place to get the wrappings off. A lot of folks don't know that we actually build our own line of clutches, but we feel that is a key part of what we offer you. More anti-rust paper. So in this particular case here, we've got a diaphragm 11-inch pressure plate, all set to go. Now the reason I'm going to show you this here is that below, a lot of times we take a moment to put in your alignment tool and pilot and throw-out bearing underneath this foam. So take a moment, don't assume that you're done. So taking a moment here to dig this out, and again, this was form fit in the box. And lo and behold, the common question we get is, where's my alignment tool? It was carefully packaged inside the box, down below in the foam, so that we made sure that it didn't get damaged during shipment. So a typical clutch from us has the alignment tool, and in this Chevy application, sometimes we send you 2 pilot bushings, one for a Pontiac, one for a GM. This particular clutch set is set up for hydraulics, therefore there's no throw-out bearing, but your clutch may vary. So let's take a look at our transmission, the big ticket item here. All right, let's tear into this Tremec TKX. note of the extra packaging material that we've added to assure that the transmission is going to arrive safely. At MDL, we actually took extra measures to package the material. This extra foam that you're seeing is something that we add to assure that it's going to travel safely. Pull out the extra foam to keep it secure. We also include, again, more instructions for your guidance, so be sure to keep that handy. This thing is so tightly packed in here, we have to make sure to strategically get it to come out. Switch to the other side. And at this point, I'm going to get some assistance, and we're going to bring this out of the box and onto the table. Make sure to ask a friend to assist you. This transmission weighs about 90 pounds, so we're just going to take this transmission, set it on the floor for now. Go ahead and grab the tail, grab the input shaft. Okay, let's remove the foam from the transmission. All right, now that we have the transmission on the table here, we kind of want to just do a general inspection, make sure that nothing has happened to the transmission, that it arrives safe, and that if there's any damage, we want to take note of it. But with the amount of insurance as far as the packaging that we've given you here, this should arrive very safely for you. And we're just going to take a moment here to spin it around. This particular transmission has been modified by us here at Modern Driveline. This happens to be an A-body TKX. We have shown the offset shifter in a previous video in a 5-part series with a Chevelle. You can see the modifications that we've made to here to give you more clearance, shifter off to the side to give you the OEM fit. And transmission here is set to go. We have a little input shaft material here on the end to make sure that the transmission is safe there. It's a little bit noted here that this has just a little bit of powder on it, so you just want to make sure to clean everything, inspect it. There is a plug on the end of this transmission, so you want to make sure to extract that out the back. It is not pushed in. There are some previous models where there is a rubber on the end. Again, it is extracted out through the back of the unit. So if you're going to order a drive shaft from us, feel free to do so with a sheet that we provide, and then we can provide that drive shaft for you in a different shipment. So if you're not going to do a drive shaft, a slip yoke may be included. Again, we want to thank you for purchasing from Modern Driveline and making it modern. And again, personal thanks from me to you, and we appreciate your business.